Welcome to the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, where we bring you a weekly dose of powerlifting news, tips, and training advice with a touch of 80s rock ballads. This podcast is presented by Team Roar Powerlifting, your source of the most comprehensive coaching and meet day preparation. Here are your hosts, Josh Rohr and Laura Sturm.
Welcome to the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast. I am one of your hosts, Laura Sturm.
And I'm Josh Rohr. Welcome to episode 89. We want to start out with a big congratulations to James Vang. His daughter was born on Monday the 18th, and her name is Elastasia.
Aw.
So
That's so sweet.
I anticipate that she won't be in the gym for the first couple weeks, but I expect her to be training within about 3 to 4 weeks.
Wow, 3 to 4 weeks training.
Yeah, why not?
Working on form. Nothing heavy.
Start them young. But could you imagine if we work on mobility and flexibility stuff now? You know how flexible and mobile infants are? If we just maintain a little bit of that. Yeah.
Right? Well, I think in other societies they try to do that.
Yeah.
Just not ours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's going to be my plan with James's kid. We're going to start it young.
Start her young.
Yeah, I guess I can say her. It's not an it.
It's not an it anymore. It's actually her. Started young and that was kind of like some of the theory behind CrossFit Kids back when that whole program got started. Keep the flexibility and the mobility and the body to weight strength ratio that you have as a kid and that fun that you have as a kid when you're playing and you're doing physical activities, and just continue that into adulthood.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
It makes sense.
I did not silent my phone. All right. Well, what about some meet results? Was there a meet this last weekend?
Yeah, there was. We had one of our lifters compete. Amber Riley lifted at the USA Powerlifting Capital City Barbell Championships down in, where was it? Tallahassee, Florida, I think. She had a pretty good day. She went 6 for 9. She squatted. She was in the 48 kilo class, junior division and open division. She squatted 92.5 kilos, which was a squat PR. She tied her bench PR at 55 kilos. She pulled 135 kilos, which was a PR and a Florida State record in the junior division, which actually broke Allison Garden's record. Allison actually lifted with us in prep for the Arnold this past month. So, the Arnold was this past month. She lifted with us for 3 months leading up to. So it's kind of crazy. Broke one of our own teammates' records. And she hit a 282.5 kilo total, which was also a PR total. So overall, pretty darn good day.
Yeah. A very good day.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Right. Amber. Boy, I can't speak today. Amber.
No, she did awesome though. James does her programming, and she's been making a lot of progress, and I'm pretty excited to see what she does, in the future as well.
Yeah. That's a big deadlift for you said 48 kilo lifter?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah, she actually missed it on her second attempt. She lost her grip. So she pulled it on her third, and she probably had some left if she would have, not lost her grip. So crazy.
It happens. That's pretty slick.
Yep.
All right. So I guess there was some voting that happened.
Yeah, we're on round 2 of the top five
movie soundtracks.
Movie soundtracks. Yeah.
Wow.
So the first matchup we had in round 2 was Amy Pancake against Daria. Amy took the win with 11 votes to 8 votes. So Amy moves on to face the winner of Don versus Chris, which we all kind of projected. Don ran away with that one. She had 61 votes to 15. So there must be a lot of Don Dotson fans out there, because she basically has more votes for her than everybody else combined, literally. So
Right. Yes. She has a lot of 12-year-old teenage friends or something on Instagram.
Or she has a whole lot of fake Instagram profiles like somebody else, but I don't know. I'm assuming she has a lot of friends.
That's a lot of fake Instagram profiles. They're a bitch to create.
Yeah, because let's face it, you'd have to not have that many friends to make all those profiles to win votes.
True. Yes.
Who
That'd
would
be a
do
lot. Who would? All right. So
Struck a nerve there.
I just moved on. I was just moving on. It was smooth. And the matchup between Cameron and you, Josh, you lost.
Bad.
Bad. 21 votes to 11 votes. Cameron won.
Yep. So Cameron moves on. And then the last matchup was Jim Battenfield versus Amy Hutchinson. Hutchison. I keep saying with the name.
I've done the same. I know.
Yeah. And that one actually was a tie, 9-9 on our actual poll. So we had to do a revote on the Team Roar Instagram on Monday, and that one was close, but Jim actually took the win 15-12. So Jim will move on to face Cameron in the semifinal.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So the winner, again, don't forget the winner gets a $50 worth of apparel, of Team Roar apparel. The final four voting will take place on Sunday, April 24th. So be on the lookout for that on Instagram at PL Ballads Podcast. PL Ballads Podcast. That's the Instagram.
Yeah. That is some drama that happened with that tie and needing a tiebreaker. Has that ever happened?
It's never happened. So I wasn't actually sure what I was going to do. I was going to actually just talk about it live as we're recording and figure out what we're going to do. But I'm like, you know what? We're going to end up not knowing what to do. So let's just do a revote on the other Instagram account.
I would have just judged it myself.
Well, that's what I thought too, but we would have ended up, I didn't vote either. So we would have ended up canceling each other out. Then we'd really be screwed.
That's true.
So just for fun, who would you have voted for?
I can't remember the list off the top of my head.
Okay. Got it. Well, I'm not going to say who I would have voted for then. Anyway, so USA powerlifting news, some national updates, I guess. There's an update to the criteria for primetime.
Mhm.
Basically, it was stated as the original weight classes that are, the schedule, but the primetime was slotted as raw and equipped. That was updated a couple of days ago to raw only. So the primetime is only going to be raw lifters. And I'm going to I'm going to defend this argument or this reason a little bit. I'm actually in favor of that. And I am a diehard equipped lifter. The reason for it is twofold. Number one, the original idea with primetime is to highlight the not only top lifters, but the top battles. So basically everybody in primetime is battling for a medal spot or battling for first place or whatever. And nobody knows how that's going to shake out. In the equipped division, just being transparent, there's not that depth of competition at the high level. Like the eventual weight class winners are very elite. They deserve to be spotlighted, but a lot of times like the 2 through 5, nobody expects them to even come close to winning in a lot of the weight classes. So it's kind of already a predetermined outcome for winners. So it's not as entertaining and not as presentable in terms of like what's the word? Like
epic battle.
Epic battle, but like, what's the word? Like a presentation, like what the hell's like when you live stream it, it's like I don't even know what the word is. Yeah. It's not, it takes away from like the intrigue and the overall, I don't know. I'm stuttering. I'll move on. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is in order to do raw and equipped, we would either have to run 2 platforms of primetime each night or run 1 platform with 3 flights. And either way is going to take away from the constant excitement, I think. And again, I am 100% supportive of equipped lifting. And I think what we had discussed too as an option was having all of the top lifters in the equipped division lift in 1 primetime session, which that would be interesting. But the logistical problem of that is nobody would be able to get their medals until that was done because we don't know who won. So everybody that lifts on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, etc., they would have to wait until the equipped primetime session is done before we can even do awards. So that kind of messes it up, not to mention the fact everybody pretty much has their plane tickets bought. So if we change it the day you're lifting it, it messes everybody up. So, as it is now, like the lifters, will lift, the equipped lifters will lift in the either morning or afternoon session with their normal weight class. And, I think that's, it's splitting up the lifters too much if we try to put them in prime time, I think. So
Mm.
people may be upset at this, but I'm actually in favor of it. And I actually, I'll defend this decision, even as an equipped lifter. I just think it's going to make it better for the equipped competition. We're going to be able to highlight, the equipped lifters better during the afternoon session or morning session, whatever. And then still be able to really put on a good presentation for the raw prime time and really get into detail with the commentary and things to really highlight the battles and what's going on. And I just think in the big picture, I think it makes a lot more sense this way for both raw and equipped.
All right. Can I play devil's advocate?
Absolutely, because everybody else is going to.
Right. Because when you first said that, I was just like, oh, that just kind of hurts my heart. Like as an equipped lifter, I'm like, oh, they don't have the chance to be part of prime time. And prime time is super cool. And it's not just an epic battle. It's a little bit of a status thing.
Yeah, I think so. And I'll say something a little controversial. I think raw lifters in general are more concerned with their status versus their performance. That might ruffle some feathers, but for me, like in my opinion, I would rather lift with my whole weight class. If there's, let's just as an example, let's say the 82.5 kilo weight class has 5 lifters lifting equipped and the top 2 go to prime time. Well, now you got basically 3 lifters and 2 lifters lifting separately, and it just kind of separates the whole thing. So, if there were more equipped lifters, then I think there'd be a better argument for putting them in prime time. I just don't think, with the way the numbers are right now, like, again, I'm not saying that the top equipped lifters are not equally as impressive, or in my opinion, more impressive, to be honest. But it just logistically to me doesn't make sense to have them separated like that.
I can see the logistics. I think it sends a little bit of a message to equipped lifters, like maybe you're not as important.
Well,
and maybe some would take it that way, at least. I don't know that all that comes into play. Were there people that were like slated to be part of prime time that are now not slated to be part of prime time?
So the
selection gone out?
No, the selection for prime time won't go out until after registration closes, because the way, and that's the other thing, I guess some people were asking how it's going to be. Basically, so going back to the logistics. So for example, like on Wednesday, there are 5 weight classes that lift that day, which means there's 5 weight classes of prime time in prime time. So when you start doing the math and put people in flights, you can only have 14 in a flight. So if we're looking at 2 flights of 14, that's 28 lifters. 28 lifters divided by 5 weight classes, that's only 5.5 lifters per weight class on average, right?
Right.
So if you throw equipped in there as well, trying to keep it 2 flights, you're looking at only getting 2 to 3 lifters per weight class per division, and that's not enough to make it competitive or fair for the the top tier lifters that are vying for the medals and pro cards. So the only logistical way that would work is to do 2 platforms. And this is a hill I'll die on, is in general we should try to avoid 2 platform prime time as much as possible. I'd rather
defeats the purpose.
Yeah, I'd rather have it fewer lifters and people upset that they didn't make they're on the bubble and didn't make it, and have it on one platform and be super competitive where everybody in prime time is contending. So full disclosure, again, I think I already said it, but I was in favor of this. So if anybody is going to be mad about it, you can be upset with me, because I pushed for this change as well. And I know that seems weird that I'm as an equipped lifter, but I just, for the overall presentation, schedule, logistics, it just made sense to do it this way.
Well, I mean, I don't know that there's anyone who would know the better meaning of what prime time is than the inventor of prime time, which is you. So I mean,
there's going to be people pissed off.
The purpose.
Like,
I mean, you can't make everyone happy.
But I mean, the other thing, like, there's a lot of raw lifters that were upset that the equipped was going to be included, because they can do math, and they knew that there'd either be 2 or 3 people per weight class or 2 platforms. And, nobody really
Right.
wanted that either. So,
Right.
um,
I mean, you're screwed either way. You're going to affect people, and people are going to be upset one way or the other. I mean, that's just the way it is. But
yeah.
what
and
would
I-
it take for raw and equipped to be included? Can that ever
I
happen?
mean,
2 separate meets?
Yeah, it almost, to me, it almost would have to be 2 separate meets. It just, yeah, there's just no real way to make that
Yeah.
work without it being 2 separate meets, in my opinion. Without it just being like, another session and not
Right.
really being that special.
Right.
So,
All right.
so sorry to burst everybody's bubble there, but I'll argue the other side of it too is, the morning and afternoon session, that's kind of going to be a quick lifter spotlight now, I think, because all the big name equip lifters are going to be competing there, without the big name raw lifters, because they'll be in prime time. So I don't know. I think that puts a little more, to me, I think that actually gets more exposure in some ways to equip lifting, because it's happening with a lot of the other raw lifting.
Right.
So,
Well, and I know in years past, raw nationals and equip version open nationals got combined, most likely because COVID, right? And the meets were kind of smaller, I think.
yeah.
Is that true?
So
So why are they still combined?
Well, logistics. I mean, the, just looking at it from a standpoint of, setting up that video wall stuff and making the production of it, like equipped nationals, because of the number of lifters was basically losing money. Raw nationals like broke even. So combining them, we kind of were able to break even as a whole.
Right.
Only set up equipment once, only have to rent one venue, stuff like that. So it just logistically made sense. Whether it stays that way or not, I think it will, but I don't know for sure. But it's just it's kind of a, and getting referees to travel was
Right.
another issue. So, instead of taking off for 2 meets, we have basically everything just a week long. And, after you compete, a lot of referees will stay and referee and stuff like that. So it just logistically made it easier. And, we just need more referees is the bottom line. So if you're listening and have ever thought about becoming a referee, contact your state chair, please, and get involved.
Yeah.
So now that I've made enemies of my fellow equip lifters, move on, right?
Josh must die. All right. So here's our powerlifting situation. After weigh-ins, while warming up, you look at the scoreboard and your forecasted total is 2.5 kilos behind the forecasted first place total. Your last squat warm-up felt really light, and there's still 2 minutes left to change your squat opener. Should you increase your opening squat so that your total is projected first after openers?
Good question. No.
That's what I would say too.
The only reason that I would say yes is if in your game plan that you already written out, you had already ahead of time planned on opening a little bit heavier, but turned in a little bit lower number just to be cautious, with the idea that if everything felt good, you would go back up. That's the only situation, because even then I'd still would question it, because you don't know how the rest of the meet's going to go. So, the argument could be made for deadlift opener, changing your deadlift opener to be projected first after opening pull. That way if you're pulling last, that way you just have to match and win every time. But, for squat, it makes no sense, because you don't know how the rest of the meet's going to go. And, just plan on making your squat attempts and do what you can do. And, if you're behind at subtotal, that means you're going to have to pull more to win anyway, which means you'll pull last. So then you can play that game during deadlift.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. I mean, why change your opening squat just to be projected as first place? That really means nothing. It's, the end. Now, I have seen somebody put in a squat attempt that was higher than what they planned to do, just to mess with the second place lifter, or who was projected to be the second place lifter. So that is a strategy. And when that, the second place lifter looks at the board and goes, "Oh, wow, crap, they've gotten stronger. You know, it's a little mental game there.
Yep. And that's even more reason not to bite on that, because if some people are playing that game and you're like, oh, look, it's like they're dangling that carrot, like, oh, just up your opener just a little bit more and bomb out. And then I don't even have to compete against you. And
Right.
That's a lot of times what they're trying to get people to do, you know, or open where they only make one squat and then, you know, take a big jump and miss or something. So yeah, it's 99.9% of the time, it's not a smart move to up your opener just because of the squat projection or the total projections. Yeah, I would leave it the same and hit your numbers in squat for sure.
Yep, exactly.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to our new lifter tip. Do not choose a coach based solely on their social media presence. Very true. Good marketing does not make you a good powerlifting coach. On the flip side, being a good marketer does not make you a bad powerlifting coach. Do your homework and be thorough.
Yeah, both sides of this piss me off. To be honest, there's a lot of people that are, to be blunt, trash coaches that are just really good on social media, that have a huge following. Everybody talks about them as being, you know, one of the great coaches and whatnot, but they're really a trash coach. And this is plural, so I'm not referring to one person. There's multiple of them out there. They don't really know what they're doing. They have no background in powerlifting. Have never really even competed. I mean, they've competed, but they've never done anything like at a high level. And you don't have to be a high level powerlifter to be a good coach. So I'm not saying that either, but you know, look at what they've done as a coach, so not only who they coach, but who they've developed, because, you know, I can offer to coach, you know, the top level lifters for free or sponsor them and pay them to let me coach them. And that doesn't mean that I actually develop them. So I think there's a lot of coaches that do that to get some big name people under their wing or whatever, and be able to use them for marketing purposes and, you know, look at who they've actually developed. I think that's the biggest thing. And then on the flip side, you know, there's a lot of people, kind of what the rant I just went on, you know, people just assume if you have a good social media presence and are marketing yourself, that by default you're a bad powerlifting coach. And that's not true either. You know, if you know, have developed lifters and things like that, but you happen to be good or have hired a good social media team, then that doesn't automatically make you less of a coach. And I think that's the distinction a lot of people make, is like, okay, if you're big on Instagram, you're a bad coach. If you're, you know, bad on Instagram, you're a good coach. They're actually not correlated.
Right.
So I think that's the important thing to pay attention to. So do your homework.
Do your homework. Actually find a good coach based on developing people. Yes. Awesome.
Yes. Yep.
All right. Good talk. Well, I think that's all we have to say this week, unless there's something else you've got, Josh, up your sleeve.
That's all I got.
All right. Short and sweet. I like it. All right. Well, make sure to follow us and direct message us, send us your questions. And how would they do that, Josh?
You can shoot us an email at plballadspodcast@gmail.com, or shoot us a direct message on Instagram at plballadspodcast. And if you are listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or whatever, do leave us a 4 or 5 star review. I feel like we're at least a 4-star. Yeah, we're at least we're at least a 4-star. Leave us a review. We would appreciate it, and subscribe, all those good things. You know what to do. Till next time. Later.
Bye now.
Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode of the Powerlifting and Power Ballads podcast, please remember to subscribe and share it with your friends.